Have you ever heard the saying, fake it till you make it? Well, some people took that way too seriously, especially when it comes to job hunting in the United States. From claiming they can speak dolphin language to saying they trained Barack Obama's dog, people will say literally anything to land a paycheck. Today, we're diving into the 61 dumbest lies people in the US ever told to get a job. Some are hilarious, some are outrageous, and some will make you wonder how these people even thought they could get away with it. So grab your popcorn, hit that subscribe button, and let's laugh our way through the most bizarre job interview lies ever told. 1. I invented Wi-Fi. Yes, someone actually claimed this. Imagine sitting in an interview and telling the recruiter that the reason you're qualified for an IT job is because you invented the internet's favorite child. Spoiler, Wi-Fi was invented in 1997 by an Australian engineer, not a guy applying at Best Buy. 2. I was a CIA agent, but it's classified. The old, I can't show you proof because it's classified trick. If your only reference is Jason Bourne movies, employers will see through you fast. Unless you're applying for a spy role at Starbucks, then maybe it works. 3. I can speak fluent Klingon. A candidate once boasted fluency in Klingon, the fictional Star Trek language. The interviewer asked a few questions in Klingon. The applicant froze. Game over. 4. I was a professional dolphin trainer. One applicant claimed they used to train dolphins at SeaWorld. Sounds impressive, right? Until the interviewer asked, "Oh really, which park?" And the applicant replied, the one in Texas? Problem, SeaWorld doesn't even have dolphins in Texas. Plus, when asked what dolphins eat, they said seaweed. Imagine hiring someone who thinks dolphins are vegan mermaids. 5. I taught Barack Obama's dog how to sit. This one deserves a medal for creativity. The applicant said they worked with Bo, the first dog, teaching him basic commands like sit and roll over. The interviewer, who happened to be a massive Obama fan, asked, "So, what was Michelle like in person?" The applicant blinked and said, "Michelle who?" Yup. Lie exposed faster than Bo could fetch a tennis ball. 6. I can type 500 words per minute. To put this in perspective, the world record is around 216 words per minute. So this applicant was basically claiming to be a human printer. The interviewer asked them to do a quick typing test, and they barely hit 40 words per minute with typos. Unless your fingers are powered by lightning, 500 WPM is a bold and very dumb lie. 7. I'm allergic to Mondays. One person thought they'd found a genius loophole. They claimed they had a medical condition that prevented them from working Mondays. The interviewer politely explained that allergic to Mondays isn't recognized by the ADA. Imagine trying to get weekends plus Mondays off. Nice try, but that's not an allergy, it's just laziness. 8. I personally know Elon Musk. This applicant claimed they were close friends with Elon Musk, saying, "Oh yeah, we text sometimes." When pressed, they admitted by text they meant, "I tweeted at him once and he didn't reply." Knowing someone on Twitter isn't the same as knowing them in real life, buddy. 9. I invented TikTok trends. Someone claimed responsibility for creating all TikTok trends. When asked which one specifically, they said, "You know that dance? The one with the hands and the feet?" That describes about 80% of TikTok dances. If you're gonna lie, at least pick one trend and stick with it. 10. I once stopped a robbery with karate. For a desk job, by the way, they said they leapt across a counter, disarmed the thief, and saved the day like Jackie Chan. The interviewer, curious, asked which dojo they trained at. The applicant responded, "Dojo? Oh, I trained on YouTube." Imagine faking martial arts to get an office job. 11. I graduated top of my class at Harvard. On paper, it looked good, but when asked about their professors, they mentioned one who had never worked at Harvard. When asked what year they graduated, they said, I don't remember. If you really went to Harvard, trust me, you'd remember. 12. I'm related to George Washington. One person proudly claimed to be a direct descendant of America's first president. Fun history fact: George Washington had no biological children. which means this applicant was either a time traveler or just really bad at Googling. 13. I can hold my breath for 10 minutes. This came up in a lifeguard interview. The applicant said they were practically Aquaman, capable of holding their breath for 10 minutes. When asked to demonstrate, they barely managed 40 seconds before gasping like a beached fish. Not exactly Baywatch material. 14. I once built a robot that makes sandwiches. This person said they engineered a robot that could build custom sandwiches. Naturally, the interviewer asked, "That sounds amazing. Can you show us a video?" The applicant claimed they lost the footage. If someone actually invented a sandwich-making robot, they'd be a billionaire by now. Instead, this person was applying at Subway. 15. I trained LeBron James. One guy said he was LeBron's personal trainer. When asked what kind of training he did, he said, dribbling. Yeah, because a 4-time NBA champion definitely needs help dribbling from a random guy in Ohio. 16. I was the backup singer for Beyoncé. Someone claimed they sang backup for Queen Bee. The interviewer asked which tour, and the applicant answered, the Coachella one. Problem, Beyoncé didn't even use backup singers at Coachella. Unless you mean singing along in your shower, this was an epic fail. 17. I invented the fidget spinner. When fidget spinners were hot, people suddenly invented them everywhere. This applicant even tried to sue their last boss for stealing the idea. The real inventor filed the patent in 1993, long before this applicant was even born. 18. I have photographic memory. The applicant bragged about remembering everything. The interviewer tested them. What was my name again? The applicant froze. So much for photographic memory. Maybe it was more like blurry Polaroid. 19. I once met aliens. During an interview at NASA, someone claimed they were abducted by aliens and learned otherworldly engineering. The interviewer asked what the aliens taught them, and they replied, "They told me to apply for this job." Nice cosmic recommendation, but not exactly proof of skills. 20. I was a lion tamer. This candidate said they worked with lions in New Jersey. Unless you count cats named Simba and Nala, there are no lions roaming Newark. When asked what lions eat, the applicant answered, steak, medium rare. Wrong answer. 21. I trained Taylor Swift's cats. Apparently, their resume included celebrity cat trainer. They said they taught Taylor Swift's cats to pose for Instagram. Problem? Taylor Swift herself has said her cats are untrainable. Busted by the pop queen herself. 22. I ran a Fortune 500 company. Their resume said CEO of a major company. Turns out the company was just their cousin's lemonade stand. 23. I invented Instagram filters. Somebody proudly claimed they created all the filters on Instagram. The interviewer asked which coding languages they used, and the applicant said, English? Yeah, not quite how software works. 24. I climbed Mount Everest in flip-flops. Extreme survival bragging. They insisted they scaled the tallest mountain on Earth wearing dollar store flip-flops. Spoiler, Everest climbers barely survive in $500 boots. Unless this applicant is half Yeti, it's a no. 25. I was a body double for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This one takes the cake. An applicant confidently claimed that during Hollywood movies, they worked as a body double for The Rock. Now, Dwayne Johnson is 6'5", built like a tank, and weighs around 260 pounds of pure muscle. The applicant? He was about 5'4", maybe 130 pounds soaking wet, and looked like he struggled to carry a bag of groceries. 26. I once fought a shark. They said they punched a shark to save swimmers. When asked where, they replied, at the YMCA pool. Unless you're swimming in Florida, sharks don't usually hang out in chlorinated pools. 27. I worked as a dragon keeper. Yup, they said they were a professional dragon handler. When the interviewer laughed, the applicant added, well, I meant Komodo dragons. Still a lie, since their last job was flipping burgers. 28. I was a ghost hunter. For a finance role, of all things. They said they chased spirits with special equipment. The employer asked, "How does this help you in accounting?" The applicant replied, "I'm good at chasing things." Wrong kind of spirits, buddy. 29. I built the Golden Gate Bridge. This one's wild. They claimed personal credit for the Golden Gate Bridge, which opened in 1937. Considering the applicant was in their 30s, unless they have a time machine, this was a major fail. 30. I was once an Olympic athlete. Sounds inspiring. The interviewer asked what sport, and the applicant said, competitive sleeping. The only Olympic medal they'd win is for napping through interviews. 31. I was a stunt driver in Fast and Furious. One applicant swore they did car flips and high-speed chases in Fast and Furious. The interviewer, being a fan, asked which movie specifically. The applicant said, "The one with Vin Diesel." Newsflash, they're all with Vin Diesel. When pressed for details, they admitted their only driving experience was crashing their mom's minivan. Not exactly stunt driver material. 32. I once saved a town from a bear attack. Yes, apparently a small US town was about to be overrun by bears, and this applicant single-handedly scared them off. How? With loud whistling. Unless you're Snow White calling woodland creatures, this is just delusional. 33. I invented Netflix. One bold candidate claimed Netflix was their original idea, but Reed Hastings stole it. When asked what year they came up with it, they said 2010. Problem? Netflix launched in 1997. Unless they were inventing things in kindergarten, this one doesn't check out. 34. I was Tom Cruise's bodyguard. A 19-year-old once told an interviewer he was Tom Cruise's personal bodyguard. When asked how old he was when he started, he said 14. Imagine a teenager protecting Hollywood's biggest action star. Unless Tom Cruise was filming The Babysitter, I don't think so. 35. I swam across the Atlantic Ocean. One applicant proudly claimed they swam across the Atlantic, solo. Considering that takes roughly 3,000 miles, currents, sharks, and weeks of endurance, the interviewer asked how long it took. The applicant replied, about 6 hours. Bro, Michael Phelps couldn't do that in 6 years. 36. I was an advisor to the president. This candidate bragged about personally advising the President of the United States. When asked which one, they hesitated, then said, the current one. The problem? Their resume showed they hadn't worked in the past 5 years. Unless they were Zoom calling from their basement, that's a hard no. 37. I can speak to animals. One person claimed they were basically Dr. Dolittle. The employer jokingly asked them to prove it by talking to a parrot in the office. The applicant leaned in and said, "What's up, bro?" The parrot squawked nonsense back. The applicant looked at the interviewer and whispered, "He says hire me." Spoiler, they didn't. 38. I cured cancer in my garage. An applicant claimed they were working on the cure for cancer in their spare time. When asked what kind of research or degree they had, they said, I watch a lot of YouTube. That's not research, that's just late-night conspiracy scrolling. 39. I was a secret astronaut. Yes, apparently NASA launched a secret mission with this person on board, and nobody knows because it's classified. When asked to name the spacecraft, they answered, the one that goes up. Nice try, Buzz Lightyear. 40. I once wrestled an alligator. In Florida, of course. They said they wrestled an alligator to save a group of children. When asked how big the gator was, they replied, like 20 feet. The record for the largest alligator in the US is around 15 feet. Unless you're applying for swamp people, don't try this one. 41. I invented Facebook, but Mark Zuckerberg stole it. The interviewer asked what year they came up with the idea, and the applicant said 2010. Problem, Facebook launched in 2004. Unless Zuckerberg is a time traveler who read your diary, this lie doesn't hold up. 42. I was a Navy SEAL, but can't talk about it. Classic move. They insisted they were a top-secret Navy SEAL, but when asked about training, they said, yeah, it was really hard, lots of swimming and push-ups. That's gym class, not SEAL training. 43. I was a professional magician. Nothing wrong with magic, but when asked to show a trick, they grabbed the interviewer's pen and said, now it's gone. Problem? The pen was clearly in their other hand. Worst magician ever. 44. I invented the iPhone. This person insisted they pitched the idea to Steve Jobs back in the day. The problem? They were 10 years old when the first iPhone launched. Unless Steve Jobs was recruiting kids from recess, that's not happening. 45. I once ran across America. They claimed to have run from New York to California as training. That's about 3,000 miles. When asked how long it took, they said a week. Even Forrest Gump took years. Unless you're the Flash, no way. 46. I was on American Idol. The applicant claimed they made it to the finals of American Idol. When asked which season, they said, the one with Simon Cowell. That covers nearly a decade. The employer Googled their name, no results. Busted. 47. I was a professional skydiver. Sounds cool until they admitted they'd never actually been in a plane. Apparently, skydiving to them meant jumping off their roof into a pool. Not quite the same thing. 48. I trained the Navy SEAL dogs. They said they personally trained dogs used in SEAL missions. When asked what breed, they answered, Chihuahuas. Yeah, because nothing strikes fear into terrorists like a 6-pound ankle biter. 49. I was the model for Captain America. This guy claimed Chris Evans was based on his physique. The only problem? He was a scrawny 5'6" guy who looked like he hadn't lifted anything heavier than a PS5 controller. 50. I'm immune to electricity. During an electrician interview, someone claimed electricity didn't affect them. The interviewer offered to test it with a live wire. Suddenly, the applicant changed their story. Well, it doesn't affect me on weekends. 51. I discovered a new planet. An applicant claimed they discovered a planet NASA later stole credit for. When asked what it was called, they proudly answered, Planet Steve. Yeah, that's going in the trash. 52. I once caught a bullet with my teeth. The interviewer raised an eyebrow and asked them to demonstrate. The applicant said, I don't do it on weekdays. That lie dodged a bullet, literally. 53. I was Elvis's personal assistant. One guy said he used to work for Elvis Presley. Unless he was assisting Elvis in the afterlife, the math ain't mathin'. 54. I hacked the Pentagon. Not something you should brag about in a job interview. When the interviewer asked how, the applicant replied, with Google. Yep, because the Pentagon is totally just one bad password away. 55. I was a professional race car driver. They bragged about racing in NASCAR. When asked which track, they said, the Indy 500. Wrong sport, wrong track, wrong everything. Pretty sure their only racing was against traffic lights. 56. I climbed out of a volcano. They claimed they once fell into an active volcano, but climbed out before it erupted. The interviewer asked which volcano, and the applicant answered, the one in Hawaii. That narrows it down to at least 3. Yeah, no. 57. I'm the reason Starbucks exists. This applicant said they came up with the idea for Starbucks in the 80s. Unless they were brewing lattes in diapers, nope. 58. I played guitar for Metallica. One person claimed they toured with Metallica. The interviewer asked which album. They said, the one with the skull. Metallica has dozens of Skull albums. Unless your name is James Hetfield, don't lie about being in Metallica. 59. I wrote Harry Potter. A guy once claimed he wrote Harry Potter, but J.K. Rowling stole it. The interviewer asked, what's the name of the first book? The applicant replied, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Lightning. Close, but nope. 60. I once got struck by lightning 3 times. Sure, getting struck once is rare, but possible. 3 times? Unless you're Thor, you're lying. The interviewer asked for proof, and the applicant said, my hair used to be curlier. 61. I once gave CPR to a squirrel. The final gym, this applicant swore they saved a squirrel's life with mouth-to-mouth CPR. When asked where it happened, they said, in my backyard. Unless you're Snow White doing Disney CPR, I doubt it. And that's it. 61 of the dumbest lies Americans have ever told to get a job. From swimming across the Atlantic in 6 hours to training Taylor Swift's cats, these stories prove one thing: people will lie about literally anything to get hired.
But here's the truth: honesty really is the best policy.
Because while a funny lie might get you remembered, it probably won't get you hired. If you laughed at these wild lies, hit that like button, subscribe for more crazy lists, and drop a comment below. What's the dumbest thing you've ever heard someone say in a job interview? Thanks for watching, and remember, always keep your resume truthful. Unless you really did give CPR to a squirrel.